I've been in the birth room hundreds of times, and there are a few things that I've seen pretty widely. I don't know where they come from, but they do not work how you think they're going to. I am not here to put anybody under the bus, but I am going to be honest with you. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Cara. I am a certified nurse midwife and a mom. And today we are going to talk about a few things that I have never ever seen work in the birth space. So thing number one is a rigid birth plan. I know that could be in a couple of ways. It could be like a birth plan that's supposed to be 1 or 2 pages is now a 5 or 6 page color-coded laminated document. Or it could be more of like the sleeper secret rigidity where you write out a birth preference list and you're like, no, it's cool. I'm open. Like, I want this to happen. But if it doesn't, I'm okay. It's okay. I just like, this would be nice. And then somewhere in the back of your mind or deep down in your gut, you're like, this is a blood oath. Or deep down, you're like, if this doesn't happen, I don't know what's going to happen because it will just be so terrible or negative or I'll have failed. There's so many stories that we tell ourselves. I'm not going to get into all of that today. The thing I want you to know about rigid birth plans, whichever kind of camp you fall in, is a rigid birth plan, it feels like you have controlled an inherently uncontrollable experience, birth, life also. But what it actually does is set you up for extreme disappointment. Because if, depending on your level of attachment and rigidity to that plan, if one thing changes or the whole plan gets thrown out the window, as I have seen happen so many times, then you fall apart. Thing number 2 is trying to stay calm through some force of will. So we hear phrases like this, like relax, stay calm, and that is nice when you are thinking, when you are already calm and the stakes are really low. But when you are in an intense, extreme situation, beautiful, powerful, but also can be intense and extreme, birth, it doesn't really do much. It actually can maybe do nothing. It could make things worse. Staying calm is a practice of being in the body, a practice of knowing how to come back, how to stay with yourself. And that is something that comes with practice in the body. It's like a lived experience that you have to take time to do and space to do in order to be able to call on that skill in a moment's notice. I have seen women really loud. I have been a woman who's been really loud in labor, and that was how I stayed calm. That was how I stayed attuned to myself. Those women who are listening to their body, they're not trying to look like what stay calm makes you think of. If you can practice it now in your pregnancy with breath work, with walks, with even movement, even exercise that brings up your heart rate and gets you in an intense place where your mind's like, wow, what is this? I want to get out of here. Something that brings you into an experience of intensity where you then practice connecting with your breath and connecting with your strength. And that doesn't have to look serene and like pastels. That can be bright, bold colors and sound and very physical and very emotive. Before I move on to the next thing, I want to share a quick story, no names or anything, but there was a woman whose labor I attended as her midwife, and her birth space was like a spa, battery operated candles, twinkle lights, diffuser with essential oils, beautiful pillows, like her own clothing, which I totally recommend, by the way. You're being something that feels like you, not a hospital gown. Her space was so serene, but her body and what I saw on her face was the complete opposite. That is a perfect example of that concept of trying to stay calm through a force of will when it is not an embodied experience. It was all of the outside stuff and none of the inside stuff. The third thing is relying on a partner that isn't prepared. Most of the birth prep, not all of it, most of it, it only focuses on the woman or the birthing person. And partners, if you are doing this with a partner, partners are also going through a huge transition. This is an identity shift for you as well. You are going to be watching your person in an extreme situation where literally you cannot remove them from that situation. You're there because that's what you came for. I like to share with partners a couple of things. You want to check in with, first, what are your beliefs around birth? What are the stories and the ideas you have about birth? Like, where did they come from? What do you know about it? What do you not know? Are you open to realizing that there might be stuff that you don't know? And understanding that it is really important that you are clear on what energy you are bringing into that space, because you are going to see your partner in a very intense experience, and you may, based on what your beliefs are about what birth is, what it requires, what it means, what it should look like, what it shouldn't look like, are going to determine literally how you show up, even if you just sit there silently and don't say anything. You're thinking it's in the space. So that's the first thing. Get clear on your own beliefs. Second way to be prepared is have a relationship with your own nervous system. How are you in moments of pressure? How are you under stress? How are you when you can't control a situation? Like, what's your relationship with control? These are all really, really useful things for you to spend some time inquiring and wondering, journaling, talking about, just sitting with yourself to understand what your take is on all of these. The fourth thing is starting birth prep too late. I used to say this to my clients, my patients, and I hear lots of midwives say it. Start birth preparation somewhere between 28 to 32 weeks. And I have changed my feeling about that. I wonder, like, if you are preparing for the most transformational experience of your life and an entire identity shift and this huge physical, emotional, spiritual, everything experience, if we think of that as if you were running a marathon, we liken giving birth to hiking Everest, incredible amount of work. If you were planning on hiking Everest or running a marathon, would you start training for that 2 months in advance and hold any hope of being able to ever walk again? Probably not. You wouldn't. Now, what do we recommend for those scenarios? Everest, I have no idea, years of training. But a marathon training, you're supposed to start 4, 5, 6 months in advance, and that's how you train properly. So what is the difference between doing it once you're in your third trimester and starting earlier? I recommend to people to start right as you go over that cusp of first to second trimester. Is when you're doing it in your third trimester, it's like you're cramming for a test, even though birth's not a test, but to use a metaphor, you're trying to get all this information in here when the truth is yeah, you need some information, you want to be informed, but a whole lot of it actually comes from back here, your intuition, your nervous system, your subconscious brain, and that takes time to rewire. I'm not saying miracles can't happen and shifts cannot happen overnight. They totally can. I'm a big believer anything is possible. However, if you can give it more time, wouldn't we want to give it more time? When you start preparing earlier, you have time to integrate what you're learning. You have time to integrate understanding your beliefs about birth, which ones you want to keep and which ones you want to ditch, time to integrate nervous system regulation, and your partner also has time to do all of those things as well. So you're not putting the car seat together and making sure you washed all the baby clothes and having a shower, and then also starting to feel tired again in your third trimester, and you might be like painting your room or moving. All sorts of things all happen all at once when we're expecting a baby. It's just everything has to happen that hasn't happened in that third trimester. Why would you do that to yourself? When you get to prepare early, and this is what I always say, is you are the birth plan. It's you, Toots. When you have more time to prepare, you have more time to become the best birth plan, because it's not just writing something down on a piece of paper and being like, okay, cool, that's what I ordered. You have time to actually get ready on a really deep level. So let's summarize. What does work every single time? A regulated nervous system, a partner who is actually prepared, a woman who really deeply knows herself, and preparation that matches what you need to prepare, that matches your birth preparation style archetype. Every birth is different, but those 4 things, I've never seen them not work. Now I want to know from you, what have you tried when it comes to birth prep that didn't work the way you expected? Please leave a comment with the answer to this question. I read every single one. Remember to subscribe and like. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I'll see you soon.